weight class and went down in the last round. It was 80-71 across all three scorecards in that fight.
And tonight for Valtierra, what it's going to be about is knowing the history of your opponent. You know, Valtierra, if he did his homework, he'll understand that Delgado just going 10 rounds for the first time. So it's up to him to push the pace early on. The fight on the back end is where he needs to step it up even more, because you want to keep that doubt in the mind of a fighter. We have doubts, especially when we're doing something for the first time. So he wants to keep that prevalent in the mind of Delgado throughout the entire night.
Yeah, speaking of doing something for the first time, just having a co-main event status on a night like this, when you have a packed NHL arena with a huge world title fight coming up in moments, it's more eyeballs, it's more of a share of the spotlight.
Yes, it is. And more nerves. You know, believe it or not, Delgado wasn't supposed to be on the main card, and he got chosen.
That's right.
Because Morataya fell out. Now, you got to understand the change of mindset, you know, not being on the main card and then being like almost the opener here, the second fight before the main event.
Well, what do you remember about that stage of your career, Timmy? I mean, obviously you went on to be a Hall of Famer, but there was a stage of your career where you're coming up and you're not in a co-feature slot. You're working your way just to get to the main television portion of the card.
It's extremely dangerous, and it can be, because if you're weak-minded and you allow the fans or the crowd to, let's say, pump you up and do things that you normally wouldn't do, you know, and the crowds can actually, you know, hinder you as well. You know, they can take a lot of energy from you. So it just depends on the mindset of Delgado, and right now it seems like he's handling it well. He's taking his time and he's absorbing what he needs to absorb, and then he's going to start setting his attack.
And getting wrapped up. Navarrete getting set to defend his title against the former 2-division world champion Oscar Valdez. It's coming up next. There is Valdez. He is wrapped. He is getting loose in his room. Of course, Eddie Reynoso, the trainer for Oscar Valdez. Their 9th fight working together. Reynoso, the longtime trainer for Canelo Alvarez. Of course, has his fight coming up on September 30th against Charlo. And it's been interesting to see the evolution of Oscar Valdez, Timmy, with Reynoso, because the early stages of Valdez, when he was fighting in main events and thrilling all of us with the action-packed, aggressive style, he is a more sound, defensive boxer puncher who actually shows up in the top 10 now, according to CompuBox, in defensive efficiency.
Well, he took a page out of Canelo's book. Honestly, he's basically a relative with Canelo Alvarez. He's adopted that high guard usage where you're deflecting shots and you're letting shots come in, so that way you can set up your counters. We call that high guard traps.
Double jab by Valtierra.
The jab is the key for Valtierra. For Valtierra, the jab is the key. You know, that keeps your opponent off balance, out of rhythm, out of sort. And he has a good jab. He steps in behind it. He doubles it sometimes, triple it. And you see it forces Delgado back, making him have to reset his feet.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will show you the punch of the night and a very familiar, famous last name who delivered it. Don't go anywhere. Lindolfo Delgado, 2016 Olympian from Mexico, 28 years old after his long amateur career, now 17-0 as a pro. He has a 21-18 connect advantage as we're in the midst of round number 3 as he takes on Valtierra. Trying to get around that guard is Valtierra with that sweeping right hand.
See, the thing with Delgado is that he doesn't really set up his attacks off his jab. What he does is he looks to counter. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for the counter punch. What he needs is Valtierra to do some of the work for him.
Double jab. Valtierra keeps his opponent busy with the double jab, not countering with the right hand over the top of that with the second one coming. There was an opportunity to counter with the right hand.
Big shot.
Glancing off to the side.
Yeah, it was a short shot. Got Valtierra's attention, no doubt about it. See the movement from Valtierra. You know, feeling confident, getting in the groove, trying to change up his rhythm, trying to give different looks to Delgado, trying to confuse him. See, when you get fighters like Valtierra, what you need to do is you need to use your jab. Instead of using the jab to the head, you want to use the jab down to the body. Hit the bigger target. The bigger frame is the body. Longer, the chest, the shoulders. Hit something to keep him off balance.
Delgado was sitting on that hook. Tries to come back with it again. There's that left hand that is able to land that time as Valtierra came in.
Like I told you, Delgado, again, he waits for offense to come. He's a counterpuncher. That's his instinct. But he needs to learn how to pick up offense and create offense off his front foot, using his jab to set up and set traps on his opponent. That's the next step for him in his development.
And another one.
That third round for Lindolfo Delgado, but Robert Garcia also sees an opening for the straight right because of the wide stance and how the left foot of Valtierra opens up.
See if he can find that target with that right hand. There are the total punches through round 3. And you can see Valtierra throwing more punches, Delgado more efficient at 33%, the natural counterpuncher. Round 4 scheduled for 10. Then we will have our world championship fight. Navarrete and Valdez.
See, Delgado really putting a lot of emphasis on that jab. He's stepping in with his jab, throwing a power jab. He's trying to push Valtierra back. Good left hook. And see, and the reason why that left hook continues to land for Delgado is because the right arm or the right hand of Valtierra is down. And every time he shoots the jab, he drops his backhand.
Oscar Valdez just relaxing on the couch in his locker room. He understands exactly what the task is in front of him. Obviously, he's the more technically sound fighter against that guy right there. Emmanuel Navarrete, who is wildly unpredictable, high volume puncher, a guy who has knockout power and great violence with both hands, unorthodox, unpredictable, wants that fast pace, wants wild exchanges. But when we talked to Valdez yesterday, he understood what this setting would be like, and you can already sense it in this room. He understood who would be sitting ringside and what the expectation would be for what the fight looks like. And he acknowledges, listen, there's probably going to be points I get drawn into it, that I get away from my natural advantage of being the more skilled fighter.
Needs to be controlled violence, Tess. He can come forward, he can box off his back foot, but he has to be under control and underneath his feet. You know what he needs to be? He needs to be a knife. He needs to be sharp tonight. And I think he will be sharp tonight because he's the more active fighter. He's just coming off a fight some months ago.
Just fought Blue Nose Lopez in a rematch. Of course, he had an injury prior to that and a long layoff. This world championship fight that we'll have tonight was supposed to take place here in this arena back in February. But instead, Navarrete was able to secure the vacant belt against Liam Wilson in what,
to be honest with you,
Valtierra with the up jab. Coming to the end of round number 4 of our co-feature. This massive crowd that's gathered at the Desert Diamond Arena here in Glendale, Arizona, getting ready for Navarrete and Valdez. It's round number 5 of our co-feature before the World Championship fight. Delgado right now, Lindolfo Delgado, the undefeated fighter in the black trunks with the Mexican flag, with a 48-29 connect advantage. Let's check in with Bernardo.
Yeah, I just spoke with Guillermo Enriquez, who's working his second fight with Valtierra, and he says, look, he just can't throw one punch at a time. He's got to throw combinations, and he's got to work behind the feints to change this tide of this fight.
He's only landed 7 power punches to this point, and you can hear this crowd. This crowd that enjoys a distinct style of fighting that they are not seeing right now between these two.
I noticed that fighters from Arizona, they fight with aggression. They fight with emotion. You know, you look at guys that were raised here or grew up here, That's what they bring to the table. You had some early fights early during the day where you had two fighters from Arizona, and they went at it. They brought the pain.
There's a good counter on the inside from Delgado as Valtierra fell in behind that right hand.
Moral of the story, they like to see fights. They like to see action. That's the moral of the story.
They will get plenty of that in the main event, for sure. In fact, interesting stat on Emmanuel Navarrete. You know, you comb through so much research, Timmy, on your way to arriving at a fight like we're going to call tonight. And then you start looking at the CompuBox numbers. There's a good left hand, and then he goes to the body, does Delgado. You look at the combination punching of Emmanuel Navarrete. Emmanuel Navarrete throws combinations of 4 or more punches 25% of the time. 25% of any combination he throws. Most guys are 1-2, right?
Yes.
A jab, right hand. 25% of the time he is throwing 4 or more punches in his combinations.
Look, that can work for you, but it also can work against you because you leave yourself open. And the way that Navarrete sometimes throws his punches off balance, you know, he leaves himself wide open for counters. And on the flip side of that, when you're throwing combinations, it keeps your opponents defensive-minded. So they kind of keep their hands in their pockets, so to speak.
Some good moments here in round number 5 from Landolfo Delgado.
Not enough combinations from Landolfo Delgado.
From either guy.
Yeah, not enough combinations. A lot of single shots, maybe 2 shots, left hook, but not enough variation in their punch arsenal.
End of 5. And Valtierra, you see on the left there the current odds for the world championship fight that's coming up. Now, this is a big change, Timmy, and this is what we call late money. Oscar Valdez was hovering as a -165 favorite. In the world of boxing, that's not an overwhelming favorite. But in the last few hours, the word we started getting, and then we checked, he's now -240. So all the late money is coming in on Oscar Valdez to take the title from Emmanuel Navarrete. The other word we're getting from the desert just north of us, the boys in the desert, is that the late money's also coming in on the over. So there's a lean towards Valdez controlling things, winning things, and a distance fight. We will see. Obviously, if Navarrete has it his way, it's the complete opposite of that.
I don't see a distance
fight. It's a steamroller the other way.
I don't see a distance fight. I see a flat-out knockout either way. Both guys possess enough punching power to turn each other's lights off with one punch. I think this fight has too much at stake. You got the World Championship. You got legends here that are going to be watching. You got a huge crowd. Trust me, these guys are going to go in there and they're going to tear each other up. Somebody's getting knocked out tonight.
Well, let's take a look at the locker room of the guy who says he guarantees it, the guy who says this fight is ending by knockout, and that is the guy who has put forth 31 knockouts among his 37 wins. There is Emmanuel Navarrete. He's finally getting gloved up. Timmy, we saw Oscar Valdez relaxed, warming up, taped up on the couch. It took 33 minutes, according to our crew that is in the locker room of Navarrete. 33 minutes for him to get taped up. And
that's
just for perspective, Valdez, it took him 12 minutes to get wrapped.
Well, that's just the way he does it. You know, each camp do it a little bit differently. I don't think it'll affect the fight whatsoever.
And there is a loose and calm Oscar Valdez, who has talked about this moment, talked about that feeling of being El Campeón. He was a 2-division world champion. He lost to Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, Shakur Stevenson, one of the best fighters in the entire world. That's the lone loss. But he says, I am so hungry to get that belt back. Tonight, he gets that opportunity in what will be a legacy-defining fight, an all-Mexican clash.
I'm just waiting on one of these gentlemen to start turning it up, start throwing more combinations and taking a little bit more risks to separate themselves in this fight. I mean, Delgado is winning this fight just with his counterpunching alone. But if you really want to leave an impression to the 140-pound division, it's time to step it up.
Delgado maybe stepping towards him a little more here as we come to the end of round 6. See what he offers in 7.
condición. ¿Quieres apretar un poquito más? Porque el morro ya está, ya lo
0 has a 78-42 punch connect advantage. So we start round number 7 as you see the total punches according to CompuBox right there. Remember the first scheduled 10-rounder in the career of Lindolfo Delgado as he was elevated to this co-feature status after Raymond Murataya suffered an injury and wasn't able to take the fight.
Look at the right side of Valtierra's face starting to swell up from the left hooks that Delgado's been landing on this right side.
Most effective left hooks came the counter shots in round number 5. He's been building on that. Eddie Reynoso and Oscar Valdez. Little trim work, just some final stitching being cut off the guard on the belt line of Oscar Valdez. His last fight was May 20th. Remember, that was the co-feature on the night of the tremendous Devin Haney-Vasily Lomachenko card at the MGM Grand. It was the rematch with Adam Blue Nose Lopez, a fight that Oscar Valdez controlled throughout. That was a rematch. And now being stretched out is Emmanuel Elvacaro Navarrete. Those long arms being pushed back. 6-inch reach advantage for Emmanuel Navarrete. Halfway through round 7 here. Delgado offer perhaps a little more offense down the stretch.
Crowd's getting a little restless. Again, wanting to see more action. Oh, nice uppercut right there from Delgado. Good
Double jab from Valtierra.
That was the one thing that he told us in the fighter meetings, that Delgado doesn't get his head up off the line, that he'll be there for his straight shots. And there it again. There it is again. Double jab right down the middle, catching Delgado.
If he could only put a right hand behind it, though, Tim, he's
combinations.
only landed 11 power punches in the whole fight.
You want to know something? When you throw that right hand, it feels like you're left out there. It really does.
Because you are.
You are. So, you know, Valtierra, he's getting hit with those left hooks. He don't want to throw the right hand because those left hooks has kind of tamed his hand at home. That right hand at home.
Coming to the end of 7 of our co-feature. World title fight to come next. Timmy, you and I will have the call of Usyk Dubois starting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That fight taking place in Poland.
Does anybody want to know what's going to happen in that fight?
Well, we also called Dubois' last fight, so we have a pretty good answer unless he's improved greatly. Because when we were over at Tottenham Hotspur on the night of Tyson Fury's championship fight, that was a shaky evening for Daniel Dubois.
And it was against a southpaw.
That's right.
Not named Usyk.
There is Oscar Valdez. Gloves are on. Reynoso is taping up the outside as the commission looks on. Valdez has talked about getting to a place, those dark places that he's been to before. Remember, this is a fighter that has fought through a broken jaw. This is the kind of night when you face a fellow countryman, Mexican rival like Navarrete, where you know where the fight can go. It's exactly where Navarrete wants it to go. He wants an absolute war. He says, I have committed to it. On my end, I am going to give everybody the fight they expect, the fight they want. Just missing the uppercut that time was Delgado as Valtierra came to the inside.
How the uppercut lands.
Navarrete just hitting those mitts, warming up those long arms. You know, he uses that length to his advantage in ways that you don't think about. Typically, if you say you have 6-inch reach, you're thinking the jab, staying on the outside. This is a guy that'll lunge with an uppercut, a left uppercut, that nearly scrapes the canvas as it's coming up from out of range. He will throw a left uppercut that, to the eye of a veteran ringside observer, you would say has no chance of landing. It's too far away, and yet he lands it with destructive force.
Because the way he throws it, the other fighter is saying, what the heck was that? That's what he's saying to himself. What was that? and he doesn't see the shot coming. But Tess, to add to that, I've noticed that when Navarrete, when he shoots that uppercut and when he misses and he's seemingly looks like he's off balance, he throws another shot, hard shot, because he understands how to control his balance in those moments.
He's one of those mid-air guys.
Yes.
He's one of those off-balance guys who can change his punches in mid-flight. World Championship will be coming up in moments from this Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. Manuel Navarrete will be defending. He won the WBO title here, but from a knockdown to do so back in February. This is round number 9, scheduled for 10. When Delgado in the black trunks trying to stay unbeaten. He has a 114-56 connect advantage against Jair Valtierra.
All right, Delgado got Valtierra used to the left hook. Now he's going to try to land the right hand. That's what he's looking for. He came out in the first round, in this round right here. He threw 3 right hands. They landed. He's looking to time that jab of Valtierra.
Oscar Valdez with Eddie Reynoso hitting the mitts. He said, I'm more motivated for this fight against Navarrete than any fight I've been in. Now consider who he's been in against. When he fought Miguel Berchelt was the boogeyman. He was one of the most destructive offensive weapons in the sport. Valdez was an underdog. When he fought Shakur Stevenson was undoubtedly the guy, one of the most avoided fighters in the sport, thought of as the ultimate rising star. And yet it is this fight against his fellow countryman in Navarrete because of what Navarrete brings to the table, how he wants to fight, what it means to their legacy, ethnic and national pride that he says motivates him more than anything. Halfway through round number 9, you see Navarrete warming up in his locker room. We'll get to those ring walks in just a moment at the conclusion of this co-feature.
There's a lot of swelling on that right side of Valtierra. A bit unusual, the amount of swelling on that right side. Delgado's taking his time and just being surgical right now with his work. Good body work right there from Delgado. He's really breaking down. He's starting to break down Valtierra.
So he had 12 body punches to this point.
But you can see the energy.
Good uppercut.
You can see the life starting to get sucked out of Valtierra. He's not as active as he once was.
Number first 10-rounder for Delgado in his career, but he is in control against Valtierra, who is not threatening him, especially down the stretch of this fight at all. And thus the reaction from the crowd, who of course gave us one of the greatest trilogies in the modern era of the sport. And they have been ambassadors of sorts all week long and playing a role in this all-Mexican rivalry between Navarrete and Valdez. And we will hear from both of those living legends of the ring in just a moment. It was interesting, a few hours ago, they were actually in the locker rooms with the world champions. And just to see the interaction, it was all smiles then. And now how the disposition and everything changes. And you see how tense it gets, the preparation, how hyper-focused everybody is in each locker room.
Target practice now for Delgado.
No, stop.
That is a slip, as ruled by Chris Flores, our referee.
See, what you're witnessing now is called the shutdown. Delgado has countered every single punch of Valtierra. Now Valtierra is afraid to throw a punch. And when he does throw a punch, he gets hit with shots like that. Oh, what a shot to the body. Right to the spleen
Here that
area.
thud nearly came back with the left hook as well.
You can tell Delgado has heavy hands. Heavy, heavy hands.
You just want to see him be a little more offensive.
He's just being smart.
Yeah.
You know, he's in there with a tough guy. You got to understand that Valtierra went the distance with Morataya, and Morataya's a puncher as well. So
Morataya nearly got rid of him in that
yes,
last round.
Yes.
And that was a complete shutout.
Ooh,
Goes underneath with the right hand to the body. Came up top with the right hand, trying to counter over that left.
See, that's what I like. I like the work. I like the work of an aggressive counterpuncher. You know, you dictating the pace. You're getting off your shots. You're making a miss, and then you're countering him again. Just more of the same. You know, Delgado just made it a choice just to pack it in. He hit him with every hard shot he possibly can, and Valtierra didn't go anywhere. So he's just taking his time, going the distance. He's okay with that.